A distant melody. Age 7 to 9. As a young child, my world revolved around my family, my school, and the bright green hills that surrounded our village. English appeared at the edges of my life, on the covers of storybooks I could not read, in the cartoons on our small television, and in the polite good morning that our visitors sometimes used. At first, I believed English was a secret code, known only to a select few. In class, when Mrs. Rao wrote words on the blackboard, apple, cat, blue, I would copy them carefully into my notebook, but they remained foreign symbols. My tongue felt heavy when I tried to pronounce them, and my ears failed to catch the subtle differences between sounds. Bat and bet were twins I could not tell apart. Sheep sounded to me like ship, and I stumbled whenever I tried to say 33. I remember sitting under a mango tree after school, flipping through an English primer. I tried to sound out each letter, blending C with A to make CA. But the words refused to come alive. My classmates seemed to breeze through the lessons, smiling as they read aloud, while I felt trapped by my own uncertainty. Early lessons in humility, age 10 to 12. By the time I reached 5th grade, English had become the most dreaded subject on my timetable. Every test felt like a trial by fire. Fill in the blanks, match the words, write a short paragraph. My grades hovered just above the passing mark, but my self-confidence sank lower with each misstep. Our teacher, Mr. Desai, was patient but stern. He would correct my pronunciation, enunciate each vowel, and ask me to repeat after him. I admired his flawless accent, but I resented the way my tongue hurt after trying to mimic it. One day, he handed back a test with bright red circles around almost every answer. He sighed and said, "You have potential, but you must work harder." His words stung, harder than any failure. At home, I tried to practice by listening to taped lessons on a battered cassette player. The monotonous voice guided me through drills. "Repeat after me. I am going to the market. I have 2 pencils." I repeated over and over, but my heart was not in it. I longed for something more alive, something that would make the words feel real. Frustration and isolation, age 13 to 15. When I entered high school, English became even more complex. Literature classes introduced Shakespeare, Dickens, and Austen, authors whose stories I admired but whose language felt like a towering fortress. I pored over annotated copies of Romeo and Juliet, trying to decode phrases like, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" My friends discussed the symbolism of the green light in The Great Gatsby, while I clung to the margins of the conversation too afraid to speak up. At 15, I decided to isolate myself from English altogether. I stopped volunteering in class, convinced that every word I spoke sounded clumsy. I avoided English movies and stopped reading English magazines. My world shrank back to Hindi and Marathi, the languages I knew best. I felt comfortable again, but also trapped by my own limitations. A spark of inspiration. Age 16. Everything changed the day my cousin, Nisha, returned from studying abroad. She brought with her tales of bustling streets, colorful markets, and lively conversations in English, a language she now spoke with ease. She described impromptu debates with classmates, late-night study sessions, and the thrill of understanding jokes for the first time. One evening, she and I sat on the terrace, looking at the stars. She told me how she had struggled in the beginning, too, fumbling over words and feeling embarrassed, but how she persisted by joining clubs, making friends, and forcing herself to speak. "It's not about being perfect," she said. "It's about daring to try." Her words lit a fire inside me. For the first time, I saw English not as an insurmountable wall, but as a bridge to new experiences. I resolved to cross it no matter how many times I stumbled. Immersion and experimentation, age 17 to 18. Motivated by Nisha's example, I began to immerse myself in English like never before. I rearranged my routine. mornings spent reading simple news articles online, afternoons watching English films with subtitles, evenings listening to podcasts on topics I enjoyed, technology, sports, travel. I kept a notebook of new words, writing them in colorful ink alongside example sentences. I practiced pronunciation by repeating short phrases into my phone's recorder, then listened back and compared my accent to native speakers. At first, the difference was stark. My voice sounded stilted, my rhythm off. But gradually, I noticed small improvements. A smoother "thee" here, a crisper "t" there. I also found a language partner, Arav, who was keen to improve his spoken Hindi. We met twice a week and spoke for an hour in each other's target language. Our conversations were awkward at times. Misunderstandings led to laughter, but they were invaluable. I learned slang, idioms, and the natural flow of casual speech. By the end of high school, I had transformed English from a source of dread into a source of curiosity. My grades improved, but more importantly, my confidence grew. College challenges and triumphs, age 18 to 21. In college, English became the primary medium of instruction. I majored in English literature, a decision that both terrified and thrilled me. I spent hours dissecting poetry, analyzing drama, and writing essays that demanded clarity, depth, and originality. The first paper I submitted, a close reading of Sylvia Plath's Mirror, received a B. My professor praised my insights but criticized my structure and occasional grammatical lapses. I was disappointed, but I took her feedback to heart. I attended workshops on academic writing, studied style guides, and sought feedback from peers. One pivotal moment came during a seminar on post-colonial literature. When the discussion opened, I raised my hand and shared my views on identity and language. My voice trembled, but as I spoke, I felt a surge of assurance. My classmates nodded, some even taking notes. Afterward, a senior student told me, "You have a clear, engaging style. Don't hold back." That encouragement propelled me forward. I began to write for the college magazine, crafting articles and short stories in English. I joined the debate team, where I learned to structure arguments under pressure. Each speech, each article, polished my skills and expanded my comfort zone. Teaching as learning, age 21 to 23. After graduation, I became an English tutor at a local learning center. Teaching turned out to be one of the best ways to reinforce my own knowledge. Explaining grammar rules, like the elusive past perfect tense, to my students forced me to grapple with the concepts on a deeper level. I developed lesson plans that incorporated games, role plays, and multimedia resources. Watching my students' faces light up when they finally grasped a difficult concept reminded me of my own early struggles. Their progress fueled my passion and underscored how far I had come. One student, Mira, reminded me of my younger self, shy, anxious, convinced she would never speak fluently. I spent extra time with her, encouraging her to keep a daily journal in English and to read stories aloud. After 3 months, she delivered a short speech in front of the class without hesitation. The pride in her eyes was the mirror of my own triumphs. Broadening horizons, age 23 to 24. Eager to test my skills in a broader context, I applied for a short-term teaching program in Malaysia. For 6 months, I lived in a multicultural environment, working with students from diverse backgrounds. English was our common language, but each student brought unique accents, expressions, and cultural references. Navigating this diversity deepened my understanding of language as a living, evolving entity. I learned to adapt my speech to different levels of proficiency, to explain idioms to non-native speakers, and to appreciate how English could unite people across continents. My own accent shifted subtly as I adopted phrases from British, American, and Asian varieties. When I returned home, I felt transformed. I was no longer just a learner. I was a confident communicator, capable of bridging cultures and inspiring others. Reflection and continuing growth, age 24 to present. Now, at 24, I stand at a new beginning. English is woven into every aspect of my life, my work, my relationships, my aspirations. Yet I know my journey is far from over. Language is a vast ocean, and I am still a curious swimmer, eager to explore new currents. I set myself daily challenges, reading one English news article, watching a TED Talk and summarizing it, writing a short creative piece each week. I attend webinars, participate in online forums, and connect with writers and educators around the world. Most importantly, I have come to embrace mistakes as essential steps on the path to mastery. Each error is a lesson, each awkward sentence a chance to grow. I no longer fear sounding imperfect. Instead, I celebrate every new word, every successful conversation, every moment of clarity. Epilogue. A journey shared. As I reflect on my struggle to learn English, I realize it was never just about mastering vocabulary or grammar. It was about courage, the courage to speak when my voice shook, to write when my thoughts felt insufficient, to connect when the distance between languages seemed insurmountable. My story is not unique. Countless learners face similar trials and triumphs. Yet each journey is personal, shaped by individual dreams, challenges, and moments of inspiration. If my experience can offer hope to another learner, that persistence can conquer fear, that immersion can ignite passion, that teaching can reinforce learning, then every stumble, every correction, every late-night practice session has been worth it. Today, as I help my own students navigate their struggles, I see the familiar glint of determination in their eyes. I remind them, as I remind myself, that language is more than words. It is a bridge to understanding, a canvas for expression, and a testament to the human spirit's capacity to grow. And so, with gratitude for every challenge and excitement for every discovery yet to come, I continue my journey, one word at a time.